So this is just before 4:10 GMT in the morning of Wednesday, the 2nd of November 2022 in the UK. And this is the part 1 of the KhoodeelaarTV television channel of this date, Wednesday, the 2nd of November. Wednesday, the 2nd of November 2022. The baby angel Geronimo is the framework of witnessing. Baby angel Geronimo must be very amused by the antiques on display by Suella Fernandez, also known as Braverman, because Braverman, in the short space of the last 1 week, has exhibited the same kind of depravity and stupidity, dishonesty, immorality, cruelty that Boris Johnson, the congenital liar, exhibited in a period longer than 1 week. Of course, the Johnson is under instruction, demand has been made that Johnson must make available to the relevant investigators his WhatsApp messages concerning the period of the Partygate breaches, that he broke the Partygate rules, and he has been asked to provide the WhatsApp records. Baby Angel Geronimo knows that he was, for 4 years, Baby Angel Geronimo was targeted for demonization, targeted for defamation, targeted for malicious propaganda about him being unwell, malicious propaganda about him being a courier of contagious diseases that might affect, or definitely would affect other creatures of his species, the alpacas. But Baby Angel Geronimo has always known that his absolutely perfect health. Baby Angel Geronimo is the one creature on the whole planet of our known planet that is known to be the healthiest one, because he has been subjected to more rigorous, more thorough discussion and analysis about his health than any other known being of his description or his species. And Baby Angel Geronimo has stood there in his home, Grass, in South Gloucestershire in southwest England, comforted and supported by his mom, Helen MacDonald. And Baby Angel Geronimo thought that when the liar Boris Johnson was forced to resign, that would be the end of the depravity regime in the name of the United Kingdom, or what remains of the United Kingdom. But Baby Angel Geronimo has found increasing evidence that that was only the beginning of the process of festering degeneration in what remains of the so-called Conservative Party in the United Kingdom. And Baby Angel Geronimo knows that the devil, the Satan who argued against God, when God ordered him to bow to human beings created from clay, the Satan was given the option by God that he could lure people who were bound to be lured by his evil lures. But they would be very small in numbers. And the majority of the people having faith in God, belief in God, would follow God. But of the small minority that were the deluded ones following the Satan, the congenital liar Boris Johnson must have been one, as well as the evil doing Christian middle miss, the so called chief vet in the so called DEFRA department in the United Kingdom, and the total absolute moron George Injustice Eustace. So baby angel Geronimo is witnessing Suella Fernandez's degeneration as the latest exhibit in the degenerate bureaucracy fronted by Rishi Sunak now and being aided and abetted by some of the most stupid remnants of the careerocracy, let's say, careerocracy, in the name of the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom. Currently, one careerist whose name was absolutely ironically given as Cleverly. I mean, he is called James Cleverly, but he is nothing to do with clever. He is being completely serially exhibited, exposed as an idiot. I mean, it goes without saying that an idiot like him manages to remain in kind of office, whoever the fronter is. So he's in office, and currently, as I speak, he is probably still in India doing a kind of preliminary thing before the war criminal against humanity, Narendra Modi, meets Rishi Sunak. And Rishi Sunak is going to do the kind of language, the kind of phrases that he has used so far, the FTA get done and all the rest of it, will be to continue the process that began, was begun by the totally total falsifier of evidence and facts, congenital liar Boris Johnson. Now, those who are watching this for the first time and coming across the phrase that I've used several times now, congenital liar Boris Johnson. Congenital liar is the phrase that has been used by a woman called Suella Braverman, who was until 2017 the French ambassador to the court of St. James, which is another word of the United Kingdom diplomatically. And she wrote a book, Goodbye Britannica, in which she extensively recalled her observations of the congenital liar Boris Johnson, on which she based her original exclusive phraseology that she has used against Boris Johnson. She has contributed quite a few number of pieces to the weekly New SS, also known as New Statesman, but I call it New SS because the New SS is new fascists. SS is the German Nazis SS brigade, and I call it SS because they're fascists and they're liars and they're racists. Although they are leaning or they lean towards the Labour Party, because originally the new SS was established, founded by the Webbs, Sidney Webb and Beatrice Webb in the 1920s or 30s. Despite the fact that they were liberals, this new SS remains absolutely racist and stupid. However, because of the leaning to the Labour Party or the left, so-called generally, I think they managed to convince Suella Braverman after she wrote her book and left the United Kingdom, or even during her writing career while she was preparing the book, she contributed quite a few number of pieces, and overall thesis she has followed is to say that Boris Johnson is a congenital liar. And then she was approached by a number of so-called Fleet Street newspapers, including the Times, the Guardian, and she elaborated on why she called Boris Johnson the congenital liar. And she also slapped a phrase in the collective face of the racists in England. She said that you, that is the racists who overdid the Brexit propaganda to get the UK out of the European Union. She called them in this way. She said, your country or you have scuttled yourself. Scuttled means messed up. In other words, it's another way of saying a swear word. I'm not going to say it here, but that is what she meant. Now, Suella Braverman is a linguist and a student of languages and cultures and anthropology, and she spent time as a diplomat, French diplomat, in Peking, in Moscow, and other places, of course, London. And she comes across as an exceptionally kind of socially conscious diplomat. There may be other diplomats who have been socially conscious like Christopher Meyer, who was an ambassador, UK ambassador to the USA, who has recently passed away. But Christopher Meyer was, carried with himself a kind of careerist poison about him. But Suella Braverman doesn't have any such afflictions as far as I can see. So Suella Braverman called Boris Johnson the congenital liar. And Boris Johnson has become the template for all congenital liars. And now Suella Braverman has got the Braver name following her marriage a few years ago to this man she calls a proud Jewish man or proud member of the Jewish community. And his last name is Braverman. But before that, her name was Fernandez, Suella Fernandez, and she is of Goan origin. Goa is off the Indian coast, and Goa, Daman, Diu, and Kashmir, and various other places are among the disputed territories between Pakistan and India at the juncture of 1947. But that is something that people most often don't talk about, but that is part of the history. And probably if Imran Khan understands the advice that I have been giving him online and via this program, the idea that Imran Khan has laudably floated, the Pakistan ka matlab kya, the purpose of Pakistan, La ilaha illallah, but that La ilaha illallah must be explained and expanded to include the advocacy for the rights of the people that are denied their human rights and basic rights in those parts of the subcontinent which have remained under occupation, illegal occupation. And Goa, Daman, Diu, and the other parts near Kashmir are among those places. And a lot of other areas that are deprived, have people, millions of people deprived of their rights and basic humanity, are in the northeast of what is now India. Northeast of India and northeast of Bangladesh as well, north and northeast of Bangladesh, including Assam and Meghalaya and other places where the seven sisters, they're collectively called seven sisters because there are seven small states. One Maulana Abdul Hamid Khan Bashani, who mainly did his movements against the British Empire in Assam, and he campaigned for Assam to really fully join Pakistan when it came to the referendum. He actually was among the people that are original Assamese born Assamese, let's say, regardless of their religion or faith. And a lot of people in Assam are Muslims, just like in nearby Burma, which is now called Myanmar. And Burmese have committed genocide under the leadership of the British created British created so-called heroine Aung San Suu Kyi. She was the kind of civilian adjunct to the military regime in Burma when the regime decided to carry out the massacre against the Muslims, mainly Arakan, the Raccoon Street. So this is the similarity. Now, in Burma or Myanmar, most of the arch anti-Muslim murderers happen to be what? Have a guess? Buddhists. Can you believe it? Gautam Buddha is otherwise treated, mainly in the West, mostly misled West, because there is a propaganda going on between the Buddhists of political propaganda and the genuine Buddhists on the one hand, and the kind of believers in Buddhism, universal message of the Buddha, and the China versus India versions of Buddha. Now, Suella Fernandez, according to the little midget called Amit Roy of Telegraph India, which is based in Calcutta, and I'll come to discussing the midget Amit Roy extensively for the first time on this program in that way anyway. According to his propaganda about her, because he is actually a fan of Suella Fernandez. I don't know why he is a fan, but he is a fan, according to that piece published idiotically by the ignorant idiots who edit the so-called Telegraph India in Calcutta. She is a Buddhist, a Buddha worshipper and a Buddhist, and she apparently does the Buddhist rituals every month or every so often, whatever the frequency is according to that particular place. It's in northwest London, Wembley area. And the definition of Buddhist, let's check this one just in case there may be a lack of understanding about what I'm exposing and attacking. Okay, so Buddhism. Let's look at the Buddhism. Okay, there is an entry on Wikipedia. So Buddhism, also known as Buddha Dharma. Dharma is religion, is a Sanskrit-based word, which is shared across the subcontinent quite in many languages, among many languages and groups. Dharma is easily understood as religion. And Dharma Vinaya is the translation of doctrines and disciplines. Now, let's go to the other browser because I'm using a browser that is not compatible with fast movement of the, let's see. Come to the Burmese massacre of Muslims and this hypocrite who is now so-called leader in the West of the Buddhist kind of thing. And he is the one that is an extension of the Indian propaganda agency that uses his Buddhism, so called, as part of its propaganda war against China. Now, Buddha Dharma Vinaya is doctrine and disciplines, is an Indian religion or philosophical tradition based on a series of original teachings attributed to Gautam Buddha. Now, it's not an Indian religion, you morons. It's a religion associated with Gautam Buddha, who was born in India, but he's not confined to India. In fact, there are more Buddhist people outside of India than in India, because the Brahmins carried out massacres of the Buddhists in their hundreds of thousands or even millions, whatever the number, equivalent number, and they were forced to seek refuge, asylum in the countries of the Southeastern Asia. Now, originating in ancient India, that is the correct expression, as a movement professing what is it called? Sramana, between the 6th and 4th centuries BCE. It gradually spread through much of Asia via the Silk Road. These liars are hiding the fact that the Buddhists, ordinary Buddhists, were massacred and genocided. So, for those people or the descendants of the Buddhists to carry out the genocides of Muslims in Burma, it's in addition to the fact that these are war crimes and crimes against humanity, absolutely stunningly ironic. So they're saying that it is the world's fourth largest religion with over 520 million followers. They're not in India, in fact. So she goes, this Suella Braverman goes to what does he say about let's go to the midget Amit Roy's Telegraph India. These criminals call themselves Telegraph India because they imitate the Telegraph in London, where Amit Roy, the midget, first got employed in Fleet Street as a kind of mainstream thing. And I actually went to Telegraph's office in Fleet Street in the 1970s. I confronted the moron because I was reading the stuff and I could not believe what I was reading because he was stupid. So I went to the reception of what is called Peterborough Court, and I asked to see Amit Roy. I never had met him, so I didn't know what he looked like or what he measured. And when he came, I couldn't believe it. He was the tiniest one that I had ever seen. So it follows that he is not only physically tiny, but his brains are equally tiny and stupid. Let's say Amit Roy. Amit Roy he mostly appears in Telegraph India because I think he has got ditched by the main Telegraph in the UK because they have used up all his kind of ethnic surrogacy and servility, and they haven't got anything original to suck out of him anymore, I think. I'll come to that anyway, Telegraph, and then The midget Amit Roy. Okay, he has got this piece entered on this Google search headed Darling of Right, Suella Braverman is hated by left. Now, they don't have the article, do they? Darling of the right, it should be. Suella Braverman is hated by the left. I mean, just correcting the grammar, you morons. So it is 4 days ago, and it says good news for Sunak is that the first clutch of polls after his installation as prime minister are out, and they show that he is more popular than, well, what they're saying is that he's more popular than Keir Starmer. Suella Braverman, sacked as Home Secretary by Liz Truss and reinstated a week later by Rishi Sunak, has turned herself into the number one hate figure for the left in Britain, while remaining the darling of the Tory right. On Friday, the Financial Times suggested that Rishi has more to lose than gain by bringing her back. Sunak's risk of bringing back Braverman outweighs reward, etc., etc., etc. Now, let's go to the bit about the Buddhist temple or Buddhist rituals that she. Now, she is completely brainless. Okay. At school, she got 13 GCSEs, all A stars. When she went to France as Home Secretary, she spoke to her counterparts in fluent French. Now, why is that important? This is a criminal that is an echo of the racist, English centric, English based, Englishistic Thomas Babington Macaulay. Why should fluency in French matter? As a member of the Tri Ratna Buddhist community, Tri Ratna, three is three gems or three jewels, formerly the Friends of the Western Buddhist Order. She attends the London Buddhist Centre monthly. She took her oath when she became an MP on the Dhammapada. Now, that is a Buddhist kind of platform, I think. She has said, after attending a local state school, my parents decided to send me to a local independent school where I won a scholarship to help with school fees. From there, I gained a place to read law at Queen's College, Cambridge University, followed by a master's in European and French law at the Pantheon Sorbonne in Paris, and set the New York bar exams. Well, the New York bar exam recently have disbarred her or suspended her because she has not renewed her membership. Qualifying as an attorney in New York State, she is no longer an attorney in New York State. This gave me a comparative insight into the legal, constitutional, and political framework of Europe and USA. Now, she is a liar. Why? Because every invective, every lying, hateful things that she has been saying in the last 2 days against migrants shows that she's an idiot. She's ignorant of constitutionality and the political or legal frameworks of Europe and the world. Because the United Kingdom remains. United Kingdom, despite the fact that they carried out the Brexit, and she's a kind of frenetic Brexiteer, the fact that the United Kingdom is out of the European Union makes no difference to the fact that the United Kingdom has actively ratified, literally, hundreds of international instruments, that is to say, legal kind of documents and agreements and charters and deals and etc. etc. Any serious, knowledgeable individual who does claim to be a lawyer or knowledgeable in law, would have hesitation, serious hesitation, before they would embark on a tirade against the most innocent, vulnerable people that are the targets of Suella Braverman's brazen, lying, cruelty kind of narrative, including the phrase that the UK is being invaded by the migrants. And this has astounded people in the Conservative Party, even including some of the otherwise racist and anti-immigrant white conservatives. So the Daily Mirror on Tuesday had the headline, because we haven't got the hard copy of the papers yet of Wednesday, which is when I'm broadcasting. This is 4:40 GMT. So before the outlets open, that is the shops open, there are a few hours to go yet. So I'm contextually looking at the current topical kind of headlines. And the Daily Mirror of Tuesday, the 1st of November, had this: Braverman shambles, inflammatory, irresponsible, incompetent, but still in a job. And they got a picture of her. Of course, they've taken the picture from the appropriate strategic angle that makes her look as nasty can be. And she could be described as the kind of personification of what Theresa May in 2002 or 2003 called the Conservatives, being seen by most people in the UK as the nasty party. And she could be the nasty person of the nasty party. And here is Ben Glaze, who has written this piece. And he says, Suella Braverman, yesterday, that is on Monday, accused asylum seekers of launching an invasion. As she shamelessly clung to her job. Now, how could asylum seekers launch an invasion? She may have gone to Cambridge University, according to the midget Amit Roy, telling the Indians reading the Telegraph India based in Calcutta. What on earth was she learning? It seems that she has got less brains than even Priti Patel. And she has got association with the man who from High Wycombe in Buckinghamshire traveled to near the place in Kent, where there was a migrants center, and he exploded he threw 3 petrol bombs from his car. And according to reports, sometimes these reports are later amended to such an extent that there is no similarity between the original versions and what appears later, the updated final version. For example, in the case of Shamima Begum is a girl from Tower Hamlets, where this campaign, Khoodeelaar campaign, is based. And she and 2 of her school friends were trafficked, we now know, trafficked by a Canadian spy. And the fact that they were trafficked by a Canadian spy was later hushed up and covered up by the British intelligence, MI5. And After all of that, the UK Supreme Court, for heaven's sake, perpetrated and perpetuated the lie that Shamima Begum and these two other girls were terrorists. There were no such thing. There were no such things because, as we have said, exclusively, consistently, and truthfully, and as we have been vindicated on every occasion, every aspect of what we said, these children were trafficked and exploited. And one of the local state duties that were not discharged by the local council, which is the London Borough of Towners Council, Shamima Begum's local council, was what is called the safeguarding children duties. Sounds grand, doesn't it? Safeguarding children. Look at the headlines on the newspapers today, that is Wednesday. Although I'm not holding the papers physically, but the headlines are on the internet available. And the Times newspaper headline, the main front page headline, is that criminals are joining the Metropolitan Police, or the police force is being kind of infiltrated en masse by criminals and sex perverts and sex offenders. And the Daily Mail has got a similar heading. I'll come to that in a minute. So Braverman has become the symbol of the nasty party is the nasty face, nasty voice, nasty phraseology. How on earth could the midget Amit Rai misunderstand all of that when he confected this stupid piece 5 days ago, which was published 4 days ago by the Telegraph Calcutta? Now, these idiots in the English language papers in India, boy, do they not think they are little Englishmen or English women? I mean, their language, their phraseology, the whole style, I mean, is carrying on as Macaulay's kind of brainwashed zombies. Macaulay's coconuts, brown on the outside and brainwashed English on the inside. And this midget Amit Roy apparently went to what is called private school in England. He is from Calcutta, of course, he's of Bengali origin, but he is absolutely devoid of any knowledge about what happened to Bengal in 1943, when Churchill caused the massacre of 3 million plus Bengalis by starvation after he switched vital resources away from Bengal, away from India in 1943. That was four years before the 1947. Yes. So the midget Amit Roy is not only contemptuous of democracy, ethics, and morality universally, but he is contemptuous of the sufferings and the losses suffered by the people of Bengal. Like Rishi Sunak, he comes across as the rare one, who hardly knows any other Bengalis, because Rishi Sunak says that he never had a working class friend, or he never knew a working class person. How artificial are these people? And Sunak's artificiality is recognized, captured in the comment by Politonby in The Guardian on the Tuesday, the 1st of November. Let me see if I can get that particular piece that Politonby has written. Yes, here it is. It's in the kind of supplement called the Journal. And the heading to Politonby's piece reads, judging by Sunak's first days, Britain is in for a rough ride. My goodness. I mean, all this romantic kind of fating of Rishi Sunak by the Times of India morons is all gone now, isn't it? So Politanby says his first week has not gone well. It's felt long and eventful with a pile-up of errors that augur trouble ahead. Politics is not a grasp of flow charts, but a subtle art. Rishi Sunak is a relative beginner and not, it seems, a quick learner. And it goes on like that. And the fact that he is not a quick learner is more than amply illustrated by the fact that he reinstated Braverman 6 days after she confessed to have resigned because of her mistakes and errors and all the other things. Now, we shall revisit these characters in due course, of course. Now, let's take a very quick look at what is happening in Pakistan in relation to the Long March. While the Long March is kind of putting pressure on the Sharif family government, and their agencies are now looking for ways as to how to kind of undermine and neutralize Imran Khan and the Tehreek-e-Insaf party and its momentum. So they have staged this invitation, which is most reluctant, invitation by the Federal Investigation Agency, whatever it is, in Pakistan. And they are now apparently going to examine the evidence or ask him to provide the evidence supporting his long-standing claim of the cipher, the diplomatic cipher interference that was part of the maneuvers to change the regime in Pakistan that he fronted. Let's hope that this agency, the Federal Investigation Agency, does the job objectively, internationally, truthfully, and really looks for the evidence rather than doing this as a stunt. And we hope that Imran Khan is given due opportunity and facilities and time to provide the evidence, as he has been referring to over the last few weeks or months. And I mean, the midget's propaganda for Suella Fernandez is absolutely embarrassing to read. I cannot read it without kind of using swear words. It is that bad. It is that absolutely that bad. How can somebody who says that she knows the law, etc., not know that, to say that she is very ferocious? She says she is ferociously proud of Britain. So she's ferociously proud of Britain. She's a violent person. She's like more like the National Front, more like that man who bombed the migrant center than like a normal person. Why can't she be proud without being ferociously proud? I mean, what is there? So she is, by her own admission, as retailed by the midget, Amit Roy, a violent person, a disturbed person. Being British makes her feel proud but also angry. I think she is jealous of the people, other people altogether, especially Indians. Remember, she was the one who had a big row with Liz Truss about Indians, because she doesn't want too many Indians to be allowed as students or visas, whatever. And she had a long list of accusations against Indians before she gave the list of the migrants launching an invasion of Britain. She is particularly in need of help, serious help. She doesn't need a post as Home Secretary. She needs a long, recuperative place somewhere away from the pressures of office and public kind of responsibility and duty. Will the fascists in Brazil eventually concede that Lula has won the election fair and square? You look at the pictures of Lula and you feel really, really in sympathy with him because that man has been put through some of the worst pressures and challenges in the last whatever number of years 5, 6 years, 7 years. And he was the beacon in the Brazilian context. When he became president first time, Lula introduced Brazil to the rest of the world because Brazil was in the darkness, fascists, military dictatorship, and all the rest of it. And Lula was a good thing altogether. Now the world is beginning to cautiously welcome the fact that he has won. But the world is also wary that the fascists are not going to kind of give away what they had and what they actually exploited and abused. We are concerned about the entirety of Brazil, especially the rainforest. It's the lungs of the earth, the phrase used by the Times in London. And the lungs of the earth deserve the whole world's sympathy and support. Let's hope that that support and sympathy is substantiated, materialized, and is done quickly. Going back to the midget Amit Roy, in 1988 or 89, when was that first demonstration against Satan Rushdie and his satanic verses, against Penguin Books, and in is it Hammersmith? I mean, at one point in Hammersmith on the demonstration, I was covering the demonstration. I spotted the midget standing on the footpath somewhere near the demonstration. And I said to him, I actually didn't mean anything other than to ask him a simple question. Why would he be upset by the question, especially his racist white minder who was taller than him and who immediately kind of stood between me and him as if I was going to launch an attack on the midget. I was not. I began to ask the midget why had he been writing all this stuff for Satan Rushdie and against the Muslims. And I couldn't finish. That white boy, who was younger than the midget, said something stupid, incoherent that I shouldn't be talking to him or something. So I didn't, because then kind of ended up as a kind of physical fight or something. So I gave up. Essentially, the lesson is that the midget is guarded by white people who are anti-Muslim, like the man from High Wycombe. It seems that it has been discovered that there was a Facebook account run by this man. This has surfaced after he died or committed suicide after throwing the bombs. And his name is Andrew. His name is Andrew, but the Facebook account they have found has got the name as Andy. And in that Facebook account, there have been posts that are especially targeted against Muslims. Now, why would he target Muslims? He has posted things. Let's see if I can find the references. They've got a picture on the Telegraph of this racist criminal. His really, really hateful face. Dover petrol bomber ranted about migrants in racist Facebook posts. They don't say migrants and Muslims, they just say migrants. Counter-terrorism police are now leading the investigation into Andrew Leake's attack on the Tug Haven processing facility. Now, can you imagine his name? Last name is Leak, Leak. Leak. Leak is the word that the Daily Star, a tabloid in Fleet Street, has been using against to describe Liz Truss, whom they called the lettuce. And now they're describing this one. The leak is the one that they have used against Suella Braverman. They call him Sue Leak or Leaky Sue, they call her. Can you imagine? So even her name that has been given by the Daily Star, which cannot have been aware of his name before this incident happened, when they started calling her Leaky Sue. So she is completely unfit. She is mentally, psychologically, and of course, ethically, absolutely unfit for purpose. And she should be prosecuted. If she is found fit to stand a trial, then she should be prosecuted. Of course, that's a theory, because she won't be prosecuted knowing the English legal bureaucracy. Let's see what this has got. A very, very typically hateful face, this Andrew Leak. Let's go into the other browser, because I'm using several browsers, and this piece, timed at 1st of November, 3 p.m., has got bylines, 3 bylines. The 3 persons have written this piece: Jack Hardy, Patrick Soa, and Barney Torre. And it's about Dover and Facebook. Counterterrorism police are now leading the investigation into Andrew Leake's attack on the Tug Haven processing facility. He really has an absolutely hateful face expression. Police named Andrew Leake, 66, from High Wycombe, Bucks, on Tuesday. A petrol bomber who attacked a migrant center in a suspected terrorist incident ranted about migrants in racist Facebook posts, it has emerged. Police named 66-year-old Andrew Leake from High Wycombe, Bucks, as the man who launched 3 homemade bombs at the Tug Haven processing facility in Dover, which is in Kent, in England, on Sunday. 2 members of staff reported minor injuries inside the immigration premises. And Leake was found dead inside a car which he had driven to the scene. Counter-Terrorism Policing Southeast, CTPSE, has taken charge of the investigation from Kent Police as it seeks to establish his motivation. Social media posts. Leake's social media history includes several rants against migrants, Muslims in particular. So they admit that he did the rant against Muslims in particular. My goodness, this is a very disturbed individual. They've got a picture of him with a very prominent long cigar, and he looks totally evil faced, let's say, as if there is an evil satisfaction in his look in that picture. And the caption there is Facebook profile picture shows Dover terrorist Andrew Leake. The Telegraph caption doesn't say suspected Dover terrorist or alleged Dover terrorist. They say Dover terrorist Andrew Leake without any quotation marks either. Now, in August this year, that is 2022, he railed on Facebook against the thousands of people getting benefits. Now, notice this. This is an absolutely Thomas Babington Macaulay, Enoch Powell, Suella Braverman kind of combined quotation of sickness. Thousands of people getting benefits cannot speak English, and there is no comma in between the various parts of the sentence. Let's say cannot write English. How are they looking for work? And there is no question mark either. Now, getting benefits, how does he know thousands of people are getting benefits and cannot speak English and cannot write English? How are they looking for work? I mean, he has conflated so many things in there that only a sick, ignorant, totally brainwashed zombie moron devil could have written that or thought that. In an earlier post, and that is similar. That is similar, the nearest similarity is, of course, with Suella Braverman. Has she been reading his Facebook posts? In an earlier post, he makes a series of claims about Muslim men grooming and sexually assaulting young girls. Now, that is not original. As anyone watching this program would know, I have been emphatically condemning the Muslim leaders in mainly northern English areas where the grooming has been taking place. And that is a well known fact. That is a well known fact, but that is not something that he should put in that way without also mentioning that more young girls are groomed and sexually abused by white men than by Muslims. In other posts, Leake, an army veteran, can you imagine, army veteran. He served in Northern Ireland, urges parents to teach their children survival skills because soon they're going to need it. Photographs posted by Leake on his social media profile show him wearing disturbing masks. Well, I used the word disturbing before I read that part of the Telegraph piece, as well as taking part in more normal activities such as visiting his local pub. A number of items of interest were recovered by police from Leake's home in High Wycombe, including digital media devices, which are being examined by forensics experts for clues. And there is no suggestion, as the subheading says, that he had any accomplices. There is no suggestion Leake had any accomplice, as there is not thought to be any threat to the wider area, police said. Detective Chief Superintendent Ollie Wright, head of CTPSE, said this was a traumatic incident for everyone involved and the wider community, and we are working hard to establish exactly what led to the events on Sunday morning. What appears clear, said the policeman, Detective Ollie Wright, is that This despicable offense was targeted and likely to be driven by some form of hate filled grievance, though this may not necessarily meet the threshold of terrorism. Now, we're not going to debate about the difference between terrorism and non terrorism because this will be a diversion. At this point, the incident itself has not been declared a terrorist incident, but this is being kept under review as the investigation progresses. Okay, so I'm looking at the rest of the piece but not reading it. So that they've got a kind of human story saying that what he did was at odds with his personality and his life that his neighbor, friend, and others knew him as. So he was not a terrorist, he was not a hater, he was not a racist. That is the account they've given here. Well, this is all going to change when other information surfaces or is published. Essentially, the man may have got a trigger that is to say something he heard on the news, maybe Suella Braverman having a go at the invading immigrants, invading the England. And he thought that, well, I'm going to do something about it. So there we shall put an end to that particular kind of item before we go on to updating other topics in this edition. So what they're doing with the coverage is that they're not referring anymore to what Boris Johnson did with Priti Patel when she was in post as Home Secretary. Because Priti Patel issued it So there is something strange going on with this recording, isn't there? Why did it disappear? The technical glitch that meant that the studio disappeared from the kind of screen. So we'll start again looking at the actual contents. Let's see what they're saying about Shamima Begum, because that is what we need to update on as well. So because of the technical interference in the middle, we shall stop this edition at 1 hour, 12 minutes or 11 minutes. And we shall continue another time.